This is Charles Kao with Travelport TV in Tokyo at the World Travel and Tourism Council Summit with Gordon Wilson, President and CEO of Travelport. Good morning in Tokyo here, Gordon.
Morning, Charles. How are you?
Enjoying Japan.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
It is. Well, we were up in Sendai, so close to the disaster area, part of the disaster area. That's unbelievable recovery, isn't it?
It is. It's quite tremendous what the Japanese have done. It's also very moving to have been in Sendai and to have seen it firsthand still the devastation, and to imagine what it must have been like is horrifying. But it shows the resilience of the Japanese people in terms of how they've come back.
Somebody just mentioned they went back to New Orleans 5 years after the hurricane, and there's no comparison of how far they're along 5 years later compared to 1 year.
Right.
So it's something to be said.
Tremendous.
Let's talk about Travelport. You've launched some new programs last year, exciting programs, the Universal API, which for technology people, I guess is sort of a interface for anybody who wants to talk to your GDS.
Right.
And Rooms and More, kind of a gigantic leap in terms of growth of hotel offerings and inventory.
That's right.
Tell us a little bit, and how has that been going since its launch roughly not even a year ago?
That's right. Well, Rooms and More basically enables us to address the big gap that GDS has always had, which is like beyond the hotels that are in the traditional GDS. So in our GDS, we have 85,000 hotel properties, and we're very good at connecting into the big hotel chains, the Hiltons, the Starwoods, the IHGs, etc. But of course, that doesn't get you to all the individual properties and the independent hotels around the world. So we invested in some meta-search technology. We bought a company called Sprice, and we basically now aggregate other hotel aggregators into one user experience. So we now have increased the level of hotels available to around about 250,000 hotels from 85,000.
Wow.
And in those hotels there are about 65,000 offers, because we've got different rates from different suppliers for the same hotel. So our travel agency customers can see all the rates and all the offers from people who retail a hotel to a travel agency, and they can make a selection for their customer based on the widest possible choice. So we're very excited about that, and actually by the end of this year we should have about 1.2 million hotel offers in the system.
My God.
And it's meta-search with a twist, because normal meta-search you just aggregate at availability level and you're hoiked off to the supplier website to make the booking.
Right.
Our product kind of takes that a stage further, and now the user experience is all in one place. So you don't get hoiked off around the place. You stay in one user experience throughout the entire profiling and then buying process.
And they're doing that within Travelport, so the booking is managed within the record locator.
That's right, and we even manage the commission payments as well to the travel agencies. They don't have to worry about how they're going to get paid their commission. Travelport does all of that for them. And the reason we called it Rooms and More is because this technology we've got is extensible into other areas. So for example, we've just put rail passes into the system as well. So we've launched that in the Middle East. So now Middle Eastern subscribers in Rooms and More can buy European rail passes using the same kind of technology. And we're going to continue to expand this out into other areas of travel content, aggregating more choice for consumers ultimately.
I imagine there's a learning curve when you roll this out, any new product, for your Travelport users to understand what it is and the value add. How has that been? Like, you're getting a little pickup, or your momentum phase?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very simple product to use. I mean, it's all browser based, and it's all graphical and point and click. There's no cryptic command.
And a part of the Travelport.
It's part of Travelport. It's the button you launched on the workstation. So there's actually very little to learn. Funny enough, we found the uptake to be very, very strong in Asia Pacific. We've got a lot of Asian content in for hotels. We found some of our most adept markets are using the product so far are places like Singapore, Hong Kong, Thailand, etc. Europe is hot on their heels as adoption rates go up, and then in America, mainly because the chains are so strong in America. It's mainly used in America for booking properties outside of the United States rather than properties in the United States. But even there, the take-up is very strong.
The Universal API, if I recall correctly, at Focusrite when we last met in October or so, you had several dozen, I think, travel technology vendors sign up right off the bat. That was just at the launch.
Yes.
How has that translated to new products that is tied into Travelport?
Well, first of all, let me just describe for your viewers what Universal API is all about. It's basically a way that developers can get into not only the content that's in our GDS, but also all the other content that we aggregate. So it's all the stuff that's in the GDS system, hotel, car, but also all the other hotel properties and everything else that we ourselves aggregate. And by this summer, all the rooms and more content that I've just mentioned, the 650,000 hotel offers, will also be available through the UAPI. And a developer can write one piece of code to get to all of that content in Travelport. So to your question, when we launched the product, our deliberate aim is to create a developer community of people who build then applications which need the rich travel content that Travelport has. And so we've got numerous applications out there already, both on Android, on Apple devices, on BlackBerry devices, etc., whereby people have put applications up, interfacing into our content. And our view of life is, we are not probably the best company in the world to build the end-user consumer application. Our view of life is that we'll build the richest, best data set that we can, the broadest content in the back, and let numerous people build the front ends. And all you need is for 2 or 3 or 4 of those around the world to really take off at the consumer level, and there's going to be massive adoption using our content and capability.
Do you have a couple of examples of some of these new applications third-party vendors have come up with?
Applications we've launched in South Africa on mobile devices, for example. We've launched a number of Apple applications with our own view-trip itineraries onto mobile apps. Also, we've got a number of big travel agencies now using our UAPI. It's the means by which they connect into low-cost carriers, for example, who don't come to the GDS in traditional ways. So big companies like Bob Robinson are using the UAPI. And I say by the summer, all of the hotel content that we've aggregated in rooms and more will also be available.
How does low-cost carriers fit into this with the API?
Well, not all low-cost carriers deliver their schedules to OAG and their fares to ATPCO and the traditional sources where GDSs get data from. Right. So let's take EasyJet, for example. For EasyJet, we go through an XML interface into EasyJet. We've made all that interface available under our UAPI umbrella.
Wow.
So now you can write one set of code and get to everything that's in the GDS and everything that we get from EasyJet as well in one place. And as we get more and more ancillary products on, seat assignments, baggage and other things, that's also going to be umbrellaed under the UAPI. It just makes it simple, easy, fast for people to develop to the whole set of content that we Travelport aggregate.
That's a lot of new product and still under a year to nurture these in the coming year. Is that basically going to be the focus? Or you have more things planned?
Well, we've also got more things up our sleeve, Charles, but we'll release those when we can. But clearly we're rolling out our new desktop products, Universal Desktop, our SmartPoint application, as well as UAPI and Rooms and More. They're the big 4 products we put into the marketplace, which we continue to accelerate deployment of. We're busy looking at new market opportunities. I'm here in Japan, obviously for the World Travel and Tourism Council meeting, but also because Japan is a major league market for travel around the world, and we're looking at new partnerships and new things we can explore to grow our business in Japan. We are busy in other markets around the world like Africa, where we're busy growing geographically. We've gone into 3 or 4 new countries in Africa in the last 6 months, and we'll continue to do that. And of course growing in markets like Russia and Brazil, which are seeing stupendous growth as well.
So the support services, I mean, the sales or the business development part is one thing, but with all this different cultures and technology approaches, that must be one big job as you roll
It's a big job. I think we're in 175 countries now, but in many countries around the world we operate with local partners. So part of our philosophy is we're not arrogant enough to think we know every market backwards and forwards. Local people are better, and in some countries local third parties operate very well with us. So we're very strong in markets like India. We've got a fantastic partner in India.
We'll wait for this announcement, but Gordon Wilson, President, CEO of Travelport, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.